Good morning, MoB family. Hello. We have my greeter is here today. Our MoB Kaffeeklatsch greeter is here today. So come in, greeter.
Welcome to MoB Kaffeeklatsch episode 77.
Excellent. Thank you. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to say good morning, as usual. And wherever you are, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. So, can you guys hear me okay? Is it coming through okay? Let me know if there's any. Yes, that's my fantastic greeter. She hasn't been here a while. You're going to close today, too, right, Z?
Yeah.
Awesome. So she should be the greeter and the closer today. So yeah, so I'm gonna put this up so you guys can see it. Show it on, and let's see if it shows. Before leaving a comment, grab stream. Let StreamYard have permission, and that's a long link. Maybe we can get a shorter link. But let StreamYard have permission so that way you can see your name. Because if not, it's just Facebook user. So go to that link and let StreamYard know who you are, and that way when you post, I know who you are. The alternative is that you just, in your post, that even though it says Facebook user, you say, you give me your name. You just say, hey, this is, whoever. And that way it's easier to know. All right, let's hide this because it's a new way again. There we go. Okay. It's covering my whole face. So, I don't know. Looks like there's lag. Is there lag? Is it lagging on your end? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, but it shouldn't be lagging on my end. Let's go down here. Okay. Seems like there's lag. Do you guys have lag? Hello, Paige. Good morning, everyone. There's always something with these programs. All right, let me get started. All right, so yeah, it seems like there's definitely some lag. All right, we're live. Excellent. All right, so hello to everyone on YouTube. We had a bunch of Chris is telling me that we had a bunch of new people sign up. So welcome to all the new people on YouTube that are signing up, which is awesome. I am in Japan. Hi, this is an anime. This is the anime episode. I believe it's only once, Cynthia. I don't think it's that each time because your name came up fine. I don't know, Chris. Do they have to sign up each time? Morning, Diane. So okay, shout out to everyone on YouTube. Hello, everyone on YouTube. Hello. Let's see. You can find us at Ben Peaches Publishing. I put up the link so you can find us there. But you can find us at Ben Peaches Publishing on YouTube or at Ben Peaches Publishing on YouTube. Storyteller, and it's Ben Peaches Publishing usually. So you can find us there. So go sign up, subscribe, ring the bell, notification bell. That way you know when we're there. Yes, Jenna, this is Anime M&S. Exactly. On Instagram, we're at Ben Peaches. I'm starting to, because we've had the break, so I'm starting to now start putting new posts up on Instagram. So, morning, Facebook user. I don't know who you are, but you know, if you wanna just put your name, just say hello, good morning, and this is this person. Let's see, who have I missed? I missed quite a few of you. So good morning to everyone, or afternoon, or evening, wherever your time zone is, as you come in. And the feed is moving quickly, so I can't follow it all at the same time. So, Chris, can you put the link up again? Because I think when I put the link up, it started lagging it for some reason. Let's see. Oh, okay. So on Instagram, we're at Ben Peaches. I put up excerpts of the book or little snippets and things, you know. So just go follow us at Ben Peaches on Instagram. Let Des know. I say very early good morning to Des because it's 3 something over there or 1. It's some crazy hour, Jeanette, right? So, oh, and that's nice. He made toast and coffee. That's fantastic. I can see you, Diana, so you don't have to, I guess you don't have to sign in each time. StreamYard does not share your name and info. Thank you, Chris, for letting us know. Let me put that up so people can see it. StreamYard does not share your name and info, so don't feel like, oh, I'm not going to do this because all my information is going to be out there. So, let's see. Go visit our star at ZAZZLE. Our lead designer, we've been on a break for a little while, so our lead designer has been, you know, off for a few weeks, but she's going to get back into it soon. So we're at ZAZZLE at M&S, EMANDES. Go find and get some swag for yourself. Patreon, we have a new patron, so thank you, Tommy Rees, for signing up and being a new patron for our M&S page, our MoB page, I guess, author page. The newsletter, so we just started the month, so it should be coming out a few weeks from now. I'll be putting up the newsletter of what's coming, what's happening, what's expected and anticipated. Follow us on BookBub. So we're on BookBub. We have a bunch, we're like almost 300 of MoB people on BookBub. So go follow us there. You don't have to do anything, just find me and sign up, and then you can follow us. Same thing for Binge Books, of which I am currently a feature. I have a spotlight. I'll put it up in the MoB. A spotlight author again on Binge Books. So go follow us on Binge Books, Bibo as we call it, and then you can join. Add your reviews. They don't have to be long reviews. Just add the reviews of the books that you read, and that way it populates the algorithm or it populates the page and lets people know. Gives them social proof that this is. I like these stories, kind of thing. So as Paige said, you just have to do it just once. So there you go. Just have to sign up once, and then it remembers you. Let's see. What we got here? Yeah. So I hope you're all doing well. I've been very rested, and I haven't been heavily into the writing, although I've been doing background writing for blood lessons, which is going to ramp up over the next few days and start really jump into it again. Welcome, Cindy. You just got off the horse. Welcome. You could have ridden the horse into the house and then jumped off. So yeah. So I'm ramping up the writing on actually the infrastructure work on that. Let's see what else. Wow, 40K. That's excellent, Heather. Keep going. Don't stop. Because yeah, that's the way it's done. A little bit each day, and you'll have a book before you know it. So yes, doing that, and I'm doing the reading for the. I want to say it's not even. I want to say it's romance, but it's not romance. It's kind of romance. It's gonna be M&S romance, I guess, or like M&S flavored stuff. I don't even know what to call it. I guess it's paranormal romance. It falls within paranormal romance, but it's been interesting reading. It's very strange for my brain to process the reading. So sometimes I'm reading and I'm going, okay, the rational side of my head knows this is what's being done. The irrational side of my head is going, oh, you can't write this. There's no way you're gonna be able to write this. So it's been a fun moment of reflection as I do it, but I do want to attempt it. I do want to try it because I think it would be awesome, you know? Trisha, welcome. You finally made it. Hello. So that's what's happening in my head as I'm reading the research book for the paranormal romance. But I really do think I'm gonna put my own spin on it, and then you guys get to read it. At least those who do the art, the shredders, will get to read it, and then you can let me know if I'm kind of there or if I'm completely off base. And since so many of you are female, it will help have objective opinions on this, so that'll be fun. No, it's not that kind of romance, Jazz. It's not Chi and Simon, no. Yes, there is a market for it, but I'm not really too concerned about the market if I get it wrong. You know, I want to make sure that it works, right, Chris? So, first the story has to be good because clearly you have to write a good story, right? And so the story is important, but I have to kind of stay true to the conventions of the genre. So even though it's paranormal, which I'm okay in, I can do urban fantasy, adding this romantic facet, this romantic component, changes it. So I have to really walk that fine line between, is it more paranormal than romance? Is it more romance than paranormal? You know, so it's this weird kind of walking on a razor's edge kind of thing. So I have to really be conscious of that as I write the story, which I usually don't have to worry about because I don't write romance in stories. Yes, Janae, we need extra timelines. That'll be interesting. And like Chris says, it's tricky. It's this tricky balance of if you put too much romance in, it becomes a romance novel. And if you put too much paranormal, it becomes an urban fantasy novel. So as I do the research, I realize that there's these threads that that kind of work together. And usually there's one that's more than the other. It's usually more paranormal than romance. And so the romance is there, but it's not so in your face. And so you can add that. So we'll see. I'm going to work on it. And you guys will help me out in terms of like saying, this works or this totally does not work. And, you know, and I'll make adjustments as necessary. The good thing is that there's no deadline for it right now. I'm just doing this because I want to do it. Deadlines are for the Mountain Strong books and other things, you know? So, but I know a lot of you have read paranormal romance, so you have the body of experience to be able to say, ooh, that's a little off the mark, or yeah, that works, things like that, you know? So yeah, it's definitely a slow burn. Like the book that I'm reading now, I'm still reading Court of Thorns and Roses. They just got to the part where they're intimate, you know, but she did it really well in terms of like, it's not like cringy, and it took, I don't know how many chapters to get to that. And in the midst of that, there's a whole bunch of interesting things happening. So I kind of like that approach. And so for me, it's homework, it's research, it's reading and seeing, you know, and it's like have the romance in there, but have the paranormal more prominent than the romance. You know what I mean? Diana asks, we could do this like this. Boom. Diana asks, well, any of your recent M&S books on Audible? I'm finding it harder to read, so I need more Audible. Yes. We have Stormblood is going into production in November. Diana. It's going into production in November, Stormblood. And after Stormblood, Revenant will be early next year. So both those books are the most recent M&S books. And as a person who got glasses in their 50s, because my eyes decided to say, we're not doing this anymore without glasses, I can completely relate. So yes. The Kevin, the narrator, is doing his thing, and we're looking at November for Stormblood. Probably if we start in November, it'll probably be December. And then if we start Revenant January, February, you're looking at March for that. So the Revenant is kind of a loose deadline, and Stormblood is definitely before the end of the year. What is Jasmine saying? I don't care if there's romance in there or not, as long as there's plot and character. Yeah, there's always plot and character development. I can't, because if you don't have that, for me at least personally, then it just becomes fluff. So the plot and character development is really important. But I'm trying something a little different for this story. So as soon as you'll see it, you'll see that it's not the usual M&S story. We need Sid to make Kevin a few times. I said, yeah, Kevin's a really busy narrator. He's been very gracious in fitting us into his schedule because he has done that. But I know that he's in demand, not only with Tantor, because that's a company that does audiobooks, but he also has other clients like me, other authors. So he's a very busy narrator. Will this story have new characters? Yes. These are not, you may only recognize one character in the whole story, maybe, but it's a completely new character, a completely new set of characters. I don't know yet if I want to set it as an adjacent to the Monty and Strong world, like have them somewhere in the world somewhere so that the character's aware of them. But I think it might be like Porter and Bug, where they might hear of Monty and Strong, but it's a different timeline, or different dimension, or parallel world kind of thing, you know? Yeah, I don't see, and I don't know who you are, Facebook user, but I agree. For me, I don't like to have it gratuitous, and as long as it's something that develops naturally, it makes sense, you know? Dex and the Morrigan in a romance story, yeah, that's I've been tempted to write it, but for me, that story ends up being more fun if it's undeveloped, in the sense of I don't write it out, but it's there, it's present, and people can kind of infer what they want from it. I think to write it out and to develop it and to give the backstory, it'll lose some of its allure. So I kind of leave it in unspoken territory, and people make hints, like Monty did in the last story, where he said where they met and what happened with the family, but he didn't go into detail. And I think it's better that it's understood, like Chris is saying, it's just understood, but you don't go into all the nuts and bolts of how they met and what happened and how they get, you know, kind of leave it a little bit to the imagination. Yeah, M&S adjacent is where I think I'd be going. Like, they can make inferences to Monty and Strong's world, but not be in the same world. And that way, there's more room to play. There's more room to do things that Monty and Strong aren't directly involved with. So and also there are already layers to the Monty and Strong world. Like, we have Monty and Strong, then you have Gray and Coda, then you have the Damned, and you have a whole bunch of characters in that world that don't necessarily interact together, but that know about each other. But when I do something like, let's say, Porter and Bug, it's a completely different world with completely different groups. There's more room to play. There's more room to grow. It's a different sandbox, you know? So yeah, and like allowing, and we get to do things like letting buildings stand and not have them completely destroyed. Although in Porter and Bug, in A Bullet Ballet, there was one building that got completely obliterated. So there's room for that too. But I don't think that's going to be so much the case in this story. It's not so much blowing up buildings, although there will be a lot of destruction, but it'll be different. I'm going to have fun with it, basically. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. I'm going to let it take its time, but I'll keep you guys posted because I think it's fun to let you guys know. And I guess I can kind of put in a few snippets here and there and see. Maybe I'll put the snippets for this one, in the art. And that way they don't get out to everyone, it's just the art, and you guys start kind of getting a feel for where the story's going. Or you can actually, which is a good idea, if I put the snippets in the art, you can kind of start saying, okay, this kind of works, this doesn't work, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense. So let me mull that over a little bit. Yeah, Chris, it's like a John Wayne type of romance. Get on the horse, right into the sunset, and everything else is fade to black kind of thing, So definitely. All right, so let's see what else we have in terms of book and audio updates. Oh my God, the time just goes so quickly. So Blood Bond, up until yesterday when I checked, because I don't check as often once the book is out, Blood Bond was still #1, which surprised. I mean, I went on vacation, I went to Virginia, I came back, it was still #1. I think it lost the status because it's no longer really a new release. So, but up until yesterday, it was #1. I think right now it's #3 in this category, which is still mind-boggling. But don't forget to leave your reviews. Okay, I try not to nudge you guys too much, but if you haven't left a review, please do so. I know life gets in the way, life happens, I understand. But please just go in and leave a sentence, leave a paragraph, just whatever you can do, whatever you want to do in the sense of how you want to leave the review. It was great, I didn't like it, whatever the review is, it does what Amazon wants and needs and uses are quantity. So it helps them to kind of let more eyes see the book. So that's all you need to do is just kind of get out there and say, I like this, or hey, it wasn't that great, or whatever the case may be. But please leave your reviews, they do matter. Jeanette says we need a little Hallmark line of cards along the lines of happy. Yes, I went to New York City and I survived M&S. What is the page saying? Oh, that's how Jay Pale handled his new Grave series, posting chapters to Team Mass. Yeah, he's been doing that for a while. It's a great method in a sense of he'll write the chapters, he'll post it to his team, and then the feedback that he gets back allows him to kind of tweak the story. So he's been doing that for a few books now, Paige. It's a good way of doing it. I don't write that way usually, but I think I will with this book because there's no real deadline for it. So I can post as I write and kind of just take the feedback from it. And as long as the art of the people who are reading it understand that there's not going to be a deadline, like it's not going to be like, okay, every week there's going to be a chapter. It's going to be like, okay, when I get to it, I'm going to leave a chapter and you guys can read it and then get back to me and let me know, and then I'll make changes or adjustments as needed. Welcome, Melissa. Yes, it is a pain. Amazon can be a pain, but we will work the algorithm. Yes. My books do really well on Amazon in terms of that. Just because I think Tumyard has that a few over 1,000 reviews at this point. But then I look at people like, Paulo Coelho that has like, what is it, 98,000 reviews at this point, right? Yeah, Paulo Coelho has 98-something thousand reviews. And if you see me lean over like that, it's because I'm not flying solo today. Dolly is over there, but she doesn't want to make an appearance right now. So she's there on the side. Yes, Jenna, I think we do need that shirt. I visited New York and I survived Montague and Strong or something. We'll have to talk to our lead designer about that shirt. Also, the other shirt that we need is the Montague and Strong image of Monty, Simon, and Peaches in action pose. So I have to. She's a very busy person with a huge, a huge pool of people working with her. So I have to get to her people and send her a message or a memo or an email, see if she gets back to me. But I think you guys know which pose I'm talking about, where Monty's like this, Simon has his sword out, and Peaches has his red eyes glaring at you, and he's looking directly ahead. That one on a shirt I think would be awesome. So I'm gonna speak to our lead designer if we can get that one. Peaches XL on a shirt with laser eyes. Yeah, the thing is that how to determine how do you show a Peaches XL? Do you have to put them next to a building or next to a car? Like you got to determine that it's Peaches XL in size. So you have to determine how is it Peaches XL. So do we put them next to a much smaller Simon and Peaches is enormous, that kind of thing, Oh yeah, see, Zardoz, which is our Chris Mendoza, has a romantic couple, which is awesome. That's a good one. My place was renovated by M&S, and all I got was this lousy shirt. That would be good. Right, Jenna. Yeah, next to the rubble of buildings. So what I would need to do is have an artist create that image first of Peaches Excel, maybe in front of a building that has a hole blown out of it, and he's standing just outside the hole with his eyes, red, and he looks enormous, like maybe he's up to the second or third floor of the building, kind of thing. So it could be something like that. Let me give it some thought. But the other image we already have, and it looks amazing, and people have asked if that's an image that could be put on a shirt. We have shirts of it. So our lead designer, I'll send him an email to our lead designer, because I don't think I sent her the art for that one. Did I send her the art for that one, Dave? Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I'll send it to you today. Yeah, so we can get that one a shirt, because that's a shirt that I would get, because it's an amazing image. That's the one done by Mona Finden, the art, and she went all out creating that piece, because I told her I need them in an action pose, and that was a lot of back and forth email in terms of what's action pose. Like, do you want them fighting? I said no, like they're getting ready to fight. They look like they're ready to fight, and then she ran with that idea, and it's like, wow, So definitely. Oh yeah, baby Peaches Excel sitting on the wreckage of the Tate Modern. See, I'm not the only one that dislikes the Tate Modern. I'm just saying, I'm just putting that out there, okay? But it does have to be rebuilt each time because it's sitting on a ley line. But that just means we get to blow it up a lot and destroy it every time. I don't know if they're going back to London anytime soon, but what I could do is have a story where Dex or Nana go like destroy the Tate Modern. So that could be like the running thing where the Tate Modern is constantly getting destroyed. I think I would like that. If you haven't been to the Tate Modern and you happen to go across the pond to London, make it a point to go there, and then you can appreciate why I'm blowing it up constantly. Thank you, Jeanette. I appreciate it. That's awesome. Jeanette just put a ZAZZLE order in.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I thank you, and our lead designer who has made that store amazing. Thanks you.
What did you get, Jeanette?
What did you get? The lead designer would like to know what you got.
Skateboard?
Did you get a skateboard deck? Those things are hot. You have to get one. Wasn't that like one of your first designs? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna create those skateboards. I'm gonna sign them, right? And then we're gonna put them on the ZAZZLE store, and they're gonna be limited edition skateboard decks. And then we're gonna say there's only like 10, and then they'll move. There you go.
There are limited editions. Or limited.
Extra limited edition. How's that? Yeah. So that's amazing. That Bloodbound was still #1 up until yesterday. For me, it always amazes me. First, I told Dolly it's not gonna get to #1 because it's the third book in a trilogy that, yes, Bug resonated with everyone, and it still shocks me to this day because Bug was like, whoa. But it wasn't Monty Strong, and I didn't think it would get to #1. A lot of novellas and not short stories don't get to #1. Although I don't know which one hasn't got to #1.
None.
Yeah, okay. But Dolly called it from day one. I think she said that's definitely going to be it's going to be #1, right? And I think it was like a few hours, because you guys are amazing. A few hours later, it had the #1 new release, and I think it hit bestseller for a short time. It's hard to move Paulo Coelho from his spot because he has the #1 in one of the categories. Welcome, Marie. Welcome. Don't worry. You're not late. You're here. And she says hi to you.
Hi, Marie.
So it was #1 for a while. It was #1 as a bestseller. It was #1 as a new release. And I don't really place much stock in those things because it's you guys who do that. And I just heard the story, but you guys make it #1. But it really surprised me that it was #1 up until like yesterday. Because it's, again, the third book in the trilogy. And I'm like, wow, I may have to continue the story of Porter and Bug for real. Let's see. The Warden.
Nixon and Akron first.
Yeah, Nixia and Akron did come first. So I have to go in the order of I have to follow the queue in terms of who came first and things like that. Because there is the knack. The warden also needs to renovate the tape, maybe some kind of ley line shockwave. Oh, it's an interesting proposition. I don't know if here's the thing about that. See, Gray doesn't really leave the city much because Gray is more in the trenches. He cares. So there's the strata of the characters, right? So Monty and Strong kind of worry about things worldwide. Gray and Coda, because Gray is the way he is and he's a night warden, he kind of watches over like New York City. Think Batman and Gotham, right? He kind of just stays within the confines of the city. He doesn't really like to go outside the city. And he doesn't really like to get involved with the things that Monty and Strong are dealing with. Because he's like, who's going to take care of the people who have no voices kind of thing. And then if you drill down even further, I guess there's other characters I can have that deal with certain areas within the city. So like if you remember the Mage and the Hellfire Club, he kind of stays in that area, like downtown Manhattan. So Monty and Strong is big picture, Gray and Coda kind of like middle picture, small picture, and then there's little, like Ursula takes care of certain parts of the city in the Damned. She has a sector that she takes care of, things like that. Yeah. But we can have something that has a repercussion because ley lines cross the entire globe, right? So something that has a shockwave that ends up in the tape, that would be fun, for sure. Yes, the Tate is now Kenny from South Park. He gets killed in every story. Let's see. Yes, Sid needs to make more timelines for sure. And everything is connected. So the ley lines do cross the globe, and something could happen in New York that has ripple effects across the pond, for sure. Yes, all the stories, I just got to write them all. I like that idea. Maybe in the next Night Warden book, we'll have something that does that, for sure. And something that kind of involves Coda, because she's a cipher, and she needs to unlock something. Maybe a ley line is snagged, locked up, or something, and she has the skill to unlock what she needs to unlock. But in the process of unlocking it, sends a surge of energy across the ley line and blows up the tape or something. Something along those lines, which would be fun to write. And then have a Penumbra consortium agent or representative come visit New York because they assume it's Monty and Strong and find out that it's not. So that'd be fun. And although in this book, in Blood Lessons, it's Verity who is after Monty and Strong. And I don't want to give too much away because it's already getting really, really fun. And I'm only on like chapter 2, right? It's on chapter 2. So I'm only on chapter 2. And you have the Midnight Echelon involved. You have Verity involved already. Haven's in there. Hades is in there. And we're only in chapter 2. It's going to be crazy. So this book is going to be a lot of fun. I haven't even introduced Quan yet. Quan is going to help Simon with his blood lessons. So I haven't even introduced her yet. And then there's this new mage called Mage Alnwick, which if you know what the Alnwick Gardens are, I'll spell it out for you so you guys can do some cool Easter egg research. I think it's this way, Alnwick. I think that's the spelling. Hold on, let me see. Alnwick Gardens. So the Alnwick Gardens are it's a special place that deals with something very specific. But there's a mage with that name, Alnwick, and so that mage is going to help Simon with his current condition of poisoning. So yeah. I would never be saying poor Tate. I was so traumatized by when I went there. I'm standing in this building, which is in its defense, it's a great building. It's just not such a great museum. But the building itself is really interesting. It's an interesting looking building, inside and outside. Well, outside, it looks like a freaking factory. But inside, they really repurposed the space. They just didn't do it well. So, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry you had to cancel your appointment, Laura, but thank you for being here. Yes, Heather, it is a poison garden. So I thought it was apropos to have the maze that's going to help Simon and Quan with his condition would be named that. So it's awesome. So, and it's actually a real garden. You know, a lot of people have asked me, a lot of readers have asked me the stuff that I do in the story. Are they real? Like, are they real places? Are they real things? Most of it is real. So the Only Gardens is a poison garden that you have to be guided through, because most of the stuff that's in there, or the herbs, because these are the herbs that grow there, can kill you. So they say, don't touch this, don't touch that, don't go here. You know, so it's amazing. So I'll have to find a way to visit at some point. And I'm sorry you had to cancel your doctor appointment, Laura, but I'm glad you're here. I hope everything went okay. Like, you can reschedule your appointment. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. So Blood Lessons is already gonna be fun. The next book, so I'm torn between the next book being, and if you see me looking up, I'm looking at the book schedule. I'm torn between the next book being a Night Warden book, or should it be another Monty and Strong book, and then I can start the year off with the Night Warden book, January with the Night Warden book. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I kind of want to get back to Night Warden, but as you guys all know, for me to get into the Night Warden, bye Jasmine, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for being here with us. As you guys all know, me writing Night Warden requires me to shift space, mental space, into that darker story, like storyline or story environment. So, which is why I've written 16 Monty and Strong books and 2 Night Warden books, because aside from the fact that I'm writing all these other short stories, the Night Warden books, it's a different kind of writing. Is that the one? If there's a character I relate to the most, it would be Gray. Right? I told you this, right, Darby? Yeah. I think I told all you guys. So maybe that's also why it's a little harder to get into Night Warden, because that's the character that I relate the most to, which you would think would make it easier, but also it kind of makes it harder to get into that space. I don't know why. So but I do know that I have neglected Night Warden a bit, and I don't want to do another sepia because, you know, we're only on book 2, and Night Warden has a bunch of books scheduled, like slated to be written as well. And those stories are so different from Monty and Simon, and Gray is a much different character than Monty. And so like Gray and Coda are not a Monty and Simon pairing. They're very different. That's more, I don't know, how do I explain Gray and Coda? It's like mentor, almost like father-daughter in a way, you know? How do you see Gray and Coda, David? Like a father figure, mentor? Yeah. He's like more of a mentor because Monty isn't a mentor to Simon. They're more like brothers, right? That's like the dynamic there. But with Gray and Coda, he has to look out for her without wanting to. And so it's more of a mentor, mentee relationship, because he's the one that kind of saved her from Hades, because Hades was going to kill her, right? So he's like, no, you know, she works with me now. So I would say more of a mentor. So he's definitely looking out for her, and it's a different dynamic. And I don't know, it's interesting. I haven't really sat down and kind of deconstructed that dynamic. I should, but it seems more like mentor to mentee. He's kind of always giving her pointers, telling her. He's almost like training her in a way too, because he's training her to be a Night Warden as well. So even though he thinks he's the last Night Warden, and in a sense he is the last Night Warden that's active, there are still more Night Wardens that come out in further stories. He's training her to be a Night Warden, so definitely mentor. Whereas Monty is constantly telling Simon he's not a mage. So it's like, yeah. I like to think of Gray as an everyman. Like, you know, he's like someone that anyone can relate to, especially fathers. Like, you can relate to Gray's cranky, irascible nature. But also, he has a little bit more pathos. He's a little bit more accessible than Monty in the sense of he has this condition where he's dying. Like, if he doesn't have the sword, he's gone. Or if when he casts any kind of spell, it's agony for him. So he kind of has to use his wits to figure things out. So it's a little different. It's a more complicated character. It's not more complicated. It's a different kind of complication. So yeah, because Monty's complicated, but in many different ways. So how would we say? Gray didn't come from privilege. Monty kind of came from a maid's family, which is different. I have to do more of the research, the background of Gray. That would be. I should do a short story on just Gray. I'll see if I can fit it in the eighth when I find that 8th day. So, yeah, mage. Yeah. Well, he's not really a mage yet. No. Simon's not as a maid. That's a good one. Yeah, Monty has humor. Just Monty, and also understand Monty's English, so it's a whole different cultural upbringing than Gray. So they're two different worlds. And so, and if I'm not mistaken, because I know the author, Gray's older than Monty. And so Gray has a lot more experience in certain things. True, everything is dying, it's just a matter of rate. That's true, yeah. So for Gray, the sword is what has slowed the process down to a crawl. But you also have to understand why he's dying, which is a whole backstory about, you know, what he did, what he cast, and what caused him to be in a state to begin with. Right, Monty's a Montague, and that's just the way it is. Yeah. Bye, Melissa. I'm so sorry your tech situation is not up, you know, not as good as you want it to be. But thank you so much for visiting. Thank you for being here, and have a great weekend. All right, let's get to the questions because we do have questions, right? So let's get to the questions. Hold on. I'm gonna shift over to the side, get the questions up. Let's see if we can address these questions now. If it lets me get there. All right. Questions from Audrey, Orlando. And thank you for the questions, guys. You guys are always awesome when you leave questions. You guys are always awesome, always, but it's really awesome when you leave questions. All right. So what makes you as happy now as when you were a child? Jeez, you're asking me to remember back to when I was a child? Let's see. Wow, that's a good one, Audrey. What makes me as happy as now? Good stories make me as happy as now as when I was a child, because family also makes me happy now as when I was a child. Chocolate, I would have to say, makes me happy now as when I was a child. And getting to spend time with the family, I think, is probably the biggest one. Because I was always kind of I had different parts of me. So I had a part of me that would go out, that loved to be outside. But there was a part of me that loved to be inside and just staying home. And even when I was a kid, when I was young, my house used to be the hub. Everyone would come to my house to hang out and play and spend time there. So I kind of kept that part of me. So I like being home. I'm very much a homebody. As Dolly will tell you, as she constantly tries to get me to go out and do things, I'm very much a homebody. All right, Dolly, question for you from Audrey. What is the best thing you've ever gotten at a yard sale or a flea market?
The best thing was
A
a vintage tulip lamp.
vintage tulip lamp. Awesome.
Glass is very pretty.
I don't know if you heard it, but she said it was glass and very pretty. Awesome. Thank you for that fantastic answer, Dolly. What is the so another question from Audrey? What is the weirdest thing that a fan has ever written, said to you? Wow. I haven't had weird things, but I have had moving things. Like people read the stories and it helps them get through difficult parts of their life, or they've had a death in their family and they were in the middle of the book as they read it, and it brought them some happiness in a really dark time, things like that. But weird, I haven't had many weird things written, but I have had a lot of things like that where the stories have touched people's lives. All right, Chris asks, thank you, Audrey, for those great questions. Chris Mendoza, thank you for the question. What's the worst job advice you've ever been given? The worst job advice I had ever been given is to just fit in. Don't do anything to stand out. And what happens when you have that mentality is you become complacent and you try to blend in and you end up becoming mediocre because you say, I don't want to stand out. I'm not going to do anything to stand out. So that's one of the worst job advice, piece of advice I've been given. Whenever you do, wherever you're doing it, try to be exceptional, because that's really what matters, for me at least personally. And those are the questions for this week. Thank you all, thank you for all these great questions. Let's see. It goes so quick. Yeah, the time goes so quick, Jeanette, that I have to kind of consciously remember the questions, and we can put it in the agenda for, questions. Death Wish makes me happy, but I never drank Death Wish as a child, Jeanette. If I drank Death Wish as a child, I'd be bouncing off walls. So I can't say it's something that made me as happy when I was a child and happy as an adult. So Death Wish doesn't count. Although Bustelo, which is the Latin equivalent, is not as strong as Death Wish. And my mom used to drink a lot of coffee when I was young. And if you know anything about the Latin culture, they put coffee in the bottles that they give babies sometimes. And I was one of those kids. Or my grandmother used to make this weird concoction with a raw egg and Manischewitz wine, grape wine. And she would drop the egg. So every time I visited her, she'd have this little cup. She'd pour wine in, and then she'd pour a raw egg in, and then she'd make me drink it. And I used to hate visiting my grandmother just for that thing, just for that reason alone, because it was always gross. And you always felt the egg yolk going down. It's like slime. It was horrible. So, but she made me drink it. And so I don't know if that had any positive effect. You can't get drunk of Manischewitz wine. It's like grape juice. It has very little alcohol. But I think the egg, the alcohol cuts the sensation of the egg. It was horrible. It was a horrible drink, let me tell you. Somebody says, I'm basically a cave troll forced to go out and human. On occasion, I slip into that, and Dolly has to be like, "Are we good? Let's go do this," and I'll go out. But yeah, it's just the way it is. Exactly, because be the best ditch digger you can be, even if that's what you want to. If that's what you're doing, do that. If you're making fries somewhere, be the best fry maker. Whatever it is. Dolly said this to me a few days ago. Like, the kids need to be exceptional in an area. They need to pick an area and be exceptional in it, because that's what will bring them success. So whatever it is, pick one thing and become really exceptional at it. And that way people will look at that person and say, wow, that's the one. That's the guy you need to go. That's the girl you need to go to. That's the person you need to go to, because they're the best. So just don't blend in. Try not to blend in. You don't want to be a gray man. And that movie wasn't that great anyway. Same thing here, Jeanette. I never really kind of fit in. I would work at jobs, but eventually I would end up either phasing myself out or being promoted out. So eventually, you get to this point where it says, okay, this isn't for you, or you're overqualified for this. You need to move on to something else. And that's just until you discover what it is that I saw this today. You find what comes easy to you. That doesn't mean that it's easy, but you keep trying until you find something that comes easy to you, and then you pursue that and become exceptional at it. Doesn't mean that whatever it is doesn't require hard work. What it means is that you pursue something that comes easily to you. And when you do that, and when you discover that, then you can start finding success in that area. Then you find that thing that comes easily. That's like, let's say in my case, writing. Writing comes easily to me now, but it wasn't always easy. It's still not easy, if I'm being honest. But it looks easy when I do it, because I'm writing and the stories just come out and I can do it. But there's a lot of work that goes up to that comes to that. And so you find what's easy for you, what comes easily, and then you hone in on that and you start polishing that, and then you can have some success in that. Or you can find that it becomes your passion. So it's a process. For some people, it happens early in life. For some people, it happens later in life. But if you actually pursue it, then it's something that you can actually attain. And you have to be really, hello, Facebook user. You have to be really careful about making your hobby your passion. Because there are people who think, oh, if I just turn my hobby into my passion, then I won't have to work a day in my life. And it's actually usually the inverse. When you turn your hobby into your passion, into what you want to pursue in life, you end up working harder than you've worked anywhere else, because now it's gone from hobby, something you did every so often, to passion, something that you're actively pursuing. And it becomes I don't want to say it becomes work, but it becomes work intensive. And so you really want to consider that whole concept of if you turn your hobby into your passion, you never have to work a day in your life. I find that to be untrue. So, yeah. Hello, Linda. You're showing us Facebook user. Yes. Hello again, Trisha. So there's a balance there, right? You have to kind of be wary of how that happens, how it works, you know? Dan! Dan, six head, Silk is the man. Yes, for sure, always. Oh, and I saw Samaritan, Dan. Oh, what did I say? I was underwhelmed. Dolly and I saw it, and all we would do is just, she would give me a look, then I would give her a look, and then she would give me a look, and we're like, oh my God. So if you guys enjoyed Samaritan, I'm not taking anything away from you, but we watched that movie, and I was like, wow, no, not happening. I'm sorry. How bad was it, baby? it was so bad she doesn't even want to answer. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that movie. It had the potential to be really good, to be a really good story, and somewhere along the way between the story and execution, something got lost in between. And it can happen, you know? Which is why when I'm asked about, and Dolly asked me about this, about the Ring of Power, same thing. As a Tolkien fan growing up, and as a child who read the books every summer, I'm really wary about what they're going to do with the Ring of Power. And it's different from Dune in the sense of they're not adding to Dune when they redo these movies. They're taking the work of Frank Herbert and they're just kind of reinterpreting it into the film media or into this medium. But with the Ring of Power, they're taking Tolkien's work and they're adding prequels to it. They're adding stories to it. And I'm really cautiously wary of how they could do that without messing it up a bit, you know? It's like when people want to mess with Terry Pratchett, it's hard because he had a singular mind about things. And the only reason Good Omens came out the way it did is because Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett worked on that book together. And they had already discussed the show while Terry Pratchett was alive. And they had already discussed the Good Omens 2, which is why they're going to continue the series, you know? Oh, yeah. Dan, you had a rant Mid-Samaritan too. I don't like movies that need. Yeah, oh man, but the movie, there were things in that movie that I get the suspension of disbelief. I totally understand that movies require that, right? Stories require that. But in Samaritan, it was a big ask. Like, it was really, whoa, you know? Yeah, so, I don't know who you are, Facebook user, but you're right. It was predictable, really predictable. I would disagree on not terrible. It was close to terrible, for me at least. It definitely didn't measure up to what it could have been. I haven't watched Lock and Key, but I hear it's a good show. Yeah, I called that twist. Dan, how soon did I call the twist? Pretty early. Yeah, we called that twist really early on, Dan, because it was like, it was too on the nose. It was so on the nose. You're like, oh, come on, really? So, again, if you enjoyed it, awesome. Bye, Cynthia. Oh, yes. Good luck getting the car. It's awesome. That sounds like great news. Thank you so much for being here and have a great weekend, Cynthia. Yeah, I called the twist. We called that twist. We saw it coming a mile away. And after a while, I was like, yeah. And the supporting cast left much to be desired. Like, was it as bad as Gray Man, Dolly? Dolly thought it was as bad as Gray Man. I didn't think it was as bad as Gray Man because Gray Man actually had moments for it, moments that were okay in Gray Man. And the fighting in Gray Man was actually pretty good. The fighting in Samaritan was like, right, yeah, and Gray Man would go to Prague and London and all these other places, you know, which is probably where their whole budget went. Right. Oh, yeah, we blew up a tram. And then, what else got destroyed? The motorcycles. Yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah, Gray Man had some positive parts to it. But that's what I was telling Dolly yesterday. If I was, so Samaritan was shot in Georgia, in Atlanta. If I was the tourist board of Georgia, I would be upset at that movie because it only showed the worst parts of the city. And I get that it's supposed to be the dystopian future type thing, but wow, I would not be happy if I was a Georgian right now. The Bar for Terrible was set years ago, but Magic Man, I don't think I've ever seen Magic Man. Facebook user. Was that Tammy? Oh, Tammy Tushman? Oh, okay. I don't know why it doesn't show up as the name here. That's interesting. I never saw Magic Man, so. But Samaritan really, yeah. I've never been to Georgia. I think I've been to Florida. That's the most south I've ever been. I've been to Tennessee. I've been to a few states in the south. Currently not planning on doing that. The furthest south we've been recently is Virginia. I will not watch Magic Man. Wow, that's a strong warning. What is it about, Magic Man? Who's in it? I've never even think I've heard of this movie. Oh, it's like right up there. What was the movie where he got burned? The Wicker Man? Yeah, it's like a Nicolas Cage Wicker Man warning. I don't know how he makes so much movies. How he makes so many movies, and most of them are like not that great. Oh yes, it's what it is. It's so bad, it's good. See, Samaritan needed just a little bit more over the top to be so bad it was good. Just a little bit more. Yeah, see, I haven't been to North Carolina. I've never been to North Carolina, but I know John Logson's from North Carolina, so there you go. Oh, hey, speaking of, let's promote the books we have from the authors that we have, Chris. Let's do that. Because it's almost, we're getting up in time. So first of all, I can say off the top of my head, John Logson is his Grave Mythos books are currently out there. So I think if one might be out for pre-order, but doesn't matter. Get the trilogy. I think the last two are for pre-order. If it hasn't gone live, it should be live soon. So number one, I know is out. Number two might be out already. I think he had it ready for September. If not, it'll be October. Or the third one is for October. But in any case, get John's books because he's a great writer and his stuff is out there. So we have John. So that's the link to Grave Spirits. I haven't seen Terminal List yet, but I hear good things about it, Dan. Rachel Carr has The Accidental Summoner. So Rachel's a fantastic writer. Get her stuff. So, we like to promote our indie authors here. So go get Rachel's book, The Accidental Summoner. I haven't read that one yet, so we're gonna have to L3 it as well. Noah, you guys all know Noah. Noah's part of the MoB. He has K's, a Supernatural Protection Agency book. So I think this is a new book that he's writing. So please get that book and let's support Noah in his writing. Also, he's part of the PPD. Stephanie Fox, who together with Alex makes up the duo, the writing duo. Stolen Trinkets. I don't know, is this part of a series or is it a new series, Chris, for Stephanie Fox? Oh, Chris, so Noah's story, the Cage story is a short story, so please grab that when you can. And Grave 3 is currently probably on pre-order. I'll have to check, but I know it'll be out October 1st. And as Paige tells us, Grave number 4 is in progress. So please pick up Grave number 3. Just get it on pre-order if you can't, if you're not going to get it right now, and get Grave number 4. If he'll put it out for pre-order as soon as it goes through all his reader teams, and let's get that as well and support our authors. Chris Chrisman, you guys know this guy. He's a debut author. He's on book 2 of his trilogy, Mixed Magic. Is currently out there, so go get that one. He's a great writer. So that's book number 1 of Chaos Mages for Stephanie Fox. Okay, so get Stolen Trinkets because it starts the series of Chaos Mages, and get Mixed Magic. Please help out. Let's support our indie authors for sure. And that's if it's fantastic. That's it. Yes, we will. We always have a TBR that never ends. September 22nd, Wild Magic drops. So the second, that's the second book, right? The second book to the Mixed Magic of that series is Wild Magic, and it drops on this month, September 22nd. So it's coming soon. So go get his books, get Chris's books, get Noah's short story, get Stephanie Fox's the beginning to the series, to the Chaos Mages, get John Logsdon's the Grave Mythos books, so Grave Spirits currently. So just get all these books. Let's see who else. We got everybody. I think I mentioned everyone. Excellent. And Rachel's Accidental Summoner. I haven't read any of Rachel's books, but I hear good things about her stories, so please get them. So definitely. Thank you, Chris, for the links. Guys, just click on the links, get the books, and make your TBR even larger, as Jeanette says. We have a TBR list that will never, ever end. So if you guys, this is a good time. If you guys have questions, we're doing good. Time is rushing fast. If you have questions, this is the time to start asking them. Yes, the infinite TBRs, which is, look, ebooks make it easier to have infinite TBRs. I know I've told this story before of walking into Barnes & Noble and telling Dolly, I'm just going to get one book, and walking out with bags of books. But she would just look at me like, really? Really? One book? So we have 10 minutes. If you guys have questions, I can answer questions. What do you guys think about Blood Bond, which is pretty awesome as a story? It's the most recent one. I'll answer any questions regarding that, or I want to say I'll answer questions regarding Blood Lessons as long as it doesn't spoil the story. I'll do that. And the Secret Project, I haven't even really released the name yet, so I can't answer any questions about that. But, you know, you can ask. Okay, so who's this long paragraph? Who? Yeah, who's the unfortunately one? Okay, Tammy. So what has been seen cannot be unseen. We sign up for an IMDb account. Watch it movie, do the movie terrible, doesn't begin to see. Now you're describing it it's so bad that we need to see it. Wow, it's that bad. Jeez. Billy Zane is in that movie. So already I'm like, yeah, I'm already reluctant because a few times he's only really good in movies when he does cameos. I don't know what happened to Billy Zane, but it's like I'm not a big fan of Billy Zane, unfortunately. He needs to stick to playing like really bad guys, I think. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Linda. So what were your favorite parts of Bloodbound, guys? Any Labor Day weekend plans? I don't think we came back from Virginia, and I think we're set for a while, for a few years. I don't know about 2 years. We can't really do summer travel because the youngest Valkyrie is in her prep program. So we can't wait to after she's done. And the beaches here are like something out of a sci-fi movie where we have bacteria or sharks with bacteria. It's crazy. So we kind of stay away. And it's getting too cool for the beaches. So yeah, we don't have any real beach plans. Maybe we'll do a marathon at home of movies we can watch or something. We'll see. Well, see if you can ask book questions that aren't spoilery, Jeanette. Corman reminds me of every instructor I read. Yes, Corman was a great character to write. I almost killed Corman, just so you guys know. I almost had him killed. So he's not safe. I don't want to pull a George R.R. Martin on him, but Corman was very close to being a statistic, like a death. It was this close. That's awesome, Jeanette. Yeah. You can put those in the room, in the mob room, because I know we know you went away, so definitely. I saw some of the pictures that you had. It was really nice. But yeah, I don't have any Labor Day weekend plans. Years ago, this was the time that I would go away into upstate New York with a dojo. We would train for the whole weekend, but we don't do that anymore. I'm glad I didn't kill him either, because he ended up, and when I say I'm glad I didn't kill him in Corman, that he ended up being really important in Bloodbound. But he almost died in The Way of Bug. He almost died. And he almost died in Bloodbound, but no. There was a point there where I had him where he was going to, meet his demise, but then the story shifted a bit where he needed to stay alive, and he's a good foil, and he's really powerful. So he reminded me a lot of Dex. And he can empty a rule in style, yes. So oh yeah, if there are any authors here that need beta readers, this is a good place to ask as well. You can always ask in the mob if you need beta readers for your works in progress or your works that you're about to edit. Definitely ask. And if you don't have it, I would sign up for Reader Links, or I'm sorry, the Author Helper Suite is the new name, and get on that, and that can help you manage your arts or your advanced reader teams better. It just organizes it in a very efficient way. So if you're an author, you don't have the Author Helper Suite, you should have it anyway because it's a great program. But especially to manage your reader teams, it's really, really efficient. The way I used to do it before was we'd have the art and the notes would be posted in the room, and that just created a lot of confusion. So yes, so get Reader Links, or we call those of us that were there from the beginning call it Reader Links, but it's been renamed into the Author Helper Suite. So grab that. It has a whole bunch of new functions. I mean, John and Ben and Rafal working on it to such a degree that it's really becoming this really extra powerful program. So yes, but if you need a reader, the mob is the place to ask. You have an amazing group of readers there, and they read blazingly fast. So Trish has to go. Oh, have a great weekend. Thank you so much for visiting us, Trisha, for being here. Thank you. Yes, Dan, he can empty a room in style, and yes, Laura, he can definitely. I agree. He's very much like Dex. Des is now separated from his last employer. Is now offering proofreading services. So if you need a proofreader, Jeanette can put you in touch with Des, who's a new proofreader. So there you go. So if you're an author and you have these needs, we may have to start having a little section where we can put these things up in the room, you know? Because I know as a beginning author, it's hard to get reviews as a new author, and it's hard to get editing and proofreading and all these kind of things that you need that you have as a more established author. It's very hard to get these things as a new author, and it's hard to even know where to look to get these things. So if you're a new author or going to be a new author, please express your needs regarding your writing in the room, and we can find a way to point you in the right direction or to put you in touch with the right person so you can get these things done. I know how hard it is, because when I started, I didn't know how to get an editor. I didn't know how to get a beta team. I didn't know any of this stuff. It was all kind of figuring it out as I was going. So, and that's hard. It's harder that way. So even down to what program should I use to write my books in, it's good to have options. Like I used Microsoft Word for a long time. Then now I use Vellum, and Vellum is a really powerful program, but I also use Scrivener. So there are different programs that have different tools. There are different tools that you can use to write your stories. And so sometimes it's good to know what's out there. Maybe you don't know. And you can always ask, feel free to ask in the mob, in the group, because there are a lot of authors there who are already somewhat established who may have the answer for you. Yeah, the business back end of writing it can be really complicated, and it can be like a labyrinth. It can be like a maze. You don't know where to go, what to do. And there's so many moving parts to the business part of writing. You know, you think, oh, I'm just gonna write my story and that's it. And then you realize, no, that's just the beginning, because now you have to get that, because it's no longer a story, you have to get that product in shape to be put on in a store like Amazon or Kobo or Smashwords or Graphic Digital. There's all these other places, Book Funnel, things like that. And so you have to know what format to have the book in, what format to upload it in, what format to download it in, and does this software do it for me or not, and so forth and so on. And what's an EPUB and MoB, which they don't really use anymore, and generic EPUBs, and there's a lot that goes to the business part of writing. That's not even discussing the marketing part of writing, which is a whole different area. There are a lot of moving parts to being an indie author. You have to wear all the hats. It's part of it. It's the hard part of it, but it's also the the good part. And that's something you want to really understand and you really want to take it on. And it's something you should know going in before you start writing a story, thinking, I'm just going to write the story and that's it. That's not it. That's just the beginning. And so if you're a new author or becoming a new author, this is the place to ask questions like that, because we have a lot of established authors that can answer your questions. And you have the access, even in the author helper suite. If you get that, there are videos in there that can help you if you're a new author as well. So ask the questions. Yeah. Yeah, Mad Hatter. It's because there are so many things going on. And feel free to ask the question. You can ask me, you can ask John. There are so many authors within the mob that have already done it. It's Jonathan Yanez is there. There's so many authors. Ben is in there. Like the mob has Rick Gualtieri is in there. The mob has a big group of authors that have been writing for a while that can answer your questions. They may not get back to you right away, but they will get back to you. And I can always get back to you right away. And if I don't have the answer, I can find the answer. So don't feel, one of the biggest problems as a new author is not knowing who to ask, not knowing where to ask. And so here at the mob, you have a resource to ask. It's important. And you have experienced authors who can tell you, this is what I did. It may work for you, because it's always a matter of, it might work for you, it may not, because all of us are different, right? We may be writing different stories, but the experienced authors can tell you, this is what worked for me, it might work for you, and they give you options, tools that you can use. And you can get help on everything. Like if you, how do I explain this? From cover, your covers are important, so you can get help with your covers. Like if you put your cover up in the mob, you will get good input from people. Same thing with your description. If you're an author and which is one of the hardest things to write, is a description for the book, right? You can put your description up in the mob and ask for constructive input. We won't tear you down, because that's not the way the mob rolls, right? And we can tell you, this works, this doesn't work. Maybe you think about this, try this, maybe tweak it here and there. You don't feel like you don't have a place to ask. Don't feel like it's going to be a burden. That the mob is really for that. It's like we're there to help each other. So please feel free to ask and say, listen, I'm working on a description, I'm working on my book, and I'm having trouble with this part. Oh, what do you guys think of this cover? You know, and no one's going to tear you down for it. You'll just get good input. But the blurb is one of the hardest parts of writing. I can tell you, as an author who, I even took a course, and blurbs are one of the hardest things to write, or as you know them as descriptions, are one of the hardest things to write, because you need to take, let's say, a regular 50,000 word book and distill it into a sentence or a few sentences. And that is really hard to do it well, to do efficiently, and to do well, that it attracts, that it hooks readers. So don't feel bad, like, oh, my blurb, I can't get this, it's not working, I don't know what I'm doing. Ask in the mob, okay? Right, where's my closer? Zoya.
Yeah.
Come on, we're leaving. We're after the time has passed. The mob is pretty awesome, Jeanette. All right, so we're closing. Please close.
Bye.
Well, thank you for being.
Thank you for being here.
What episode?
77.
So thank you for being on episode 77, Mob TV. Say it.
Welcome.
Not welcome. We're not starting. We're ending. Welcome. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you for being here on episode 77 of Mob Kaffeeklatsch.
And have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Awesome. So, thank you, Mob TV closer. Yeah, listen, the shredders that I have are some of the best that I've ever seen. So, and they're all in the mob. So if you feel, on a closing note, if you feel like you need help, whether it's your description, whether it's your book cover, whether it's your premise, or things like this, we have a vast knowledge base within the mob that you can ask, and feel free. Don't feel like like it's gonna bother anyone. No, we want your book to be awesome. So the way to do that is to ask questions and get input, get feedback. So thank you for being here. Thank you. We're closing episode 77, and I want you guys to all have a great weekend. And as always, be uncommon. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Bye.